Welcome, adventurers and loremasters. Today we'll uncover one of the most bizarre and enigmatic creatures to dwell in the Dungeons and Dragons multiverse, the Grue. Specifically, the Chaggrin, or Earthglide. Most often found lurking in the deepest, darkest caverns, the Chaggrin is a malevolent outsider with an inherent connection to the elemental plane of Earth. But there's a lot more to these strange beings than meets the eye. In the mythos of D&D, Grues are elemental fiends, natives of the chaotic and treacherous borderlands between the material plane and the elemental planes. The Chaggrin is just one of several Grues, each tied to a primeval element. Chaggrins, with their hunched, squat frames and filthy, rock-studded bodies, thrive in malformed geological spaces where Earth and madness meet. Let's talk origins. The first mention of elemental Grues appeared way back in Gary Gygax's Fiend Folio from 1981. They were introduced as a sinister alternative to traditional summoned elementals, designed to terrify careless spellcasters who dabbled in the unknown. Classic Chaggrin Grues emerge as earthy harbingers of entropy and decay, more likely to attack than obey. Unlike standard elementals, Chaggrins and their kin are unpredictable and resentful when summoned, a subtle narrative warning that meddling with other planes always carries risk. Summoners who fail to control a Chaggrin might find themselves on the wrong end of a particularly violent temper tantrum, churning up stone, grit, and filth wherever they go. Physically, Chaggrins are described as squat, almost goblin-esque, with earthy skin mottled by stones and filth. They emit a foul, earthy stench that's almost suffocating in the close quarters of the Underdark. Their presence often heralds instability. Earthquakes, collapses, and landslides seem to follow in their wake. But what about in-game behavior? Chaggrins despise sunlight, loathing open spaces, and loving nothing more than the claustrophobic embrace of subterranean tunnels. They're expert burrowers, able to vanish into the ground with uncanny speed and stealth, making them perfect ambushers in rocky, cavernous environments. Chaggrins possess a unique elemental ability known as the Earthglide. This allows them to pass through stone and earth as easily as a fish swims through water. For adventurers, this means the threat can emerge from the very ground beneath your feet. An encounter with a Chaggrin is never safe or predictable. What's especially interesting is how Chaggrins interact with other creatures of the Underdark. While they hate sunlight, they also despise most life, but sometimes form uneasy alliances with Zorns, Umberhulks, and certain Drow or Duergar cultists who venerate earth deities. These dark pacts rarely last. Treachery is the Chaggrin's nature. Let's delve into their abilities. In some editions, Chaggrins have innate magical powers, like the ability to cause small earthquakes, entangle enemies in animate mud, or create blinding clouds of choking dust and grit. This combination of offensive and disruptive abilities makes them a challenge for even seasoned adventurers. An odd little secret not known to many: Chaggrins, like other elemental Grues, despise each other almost as much as they hate mortals. Put a Chaggrin and an Azza or Galeb Dur in the same cavern, and you might witness a clash of titans, fueled by elemental jealousy and spite. Scholars speculate that the Grue's chaotic nature reflects the elemental planes themselves, alien realms of shifting power and capricious temperament. In-game, this means that no two encounters with a Chaggrin need play out the same. Their motivations are mysterious, their methods cruel and indirect. If you're a dungeon master, consider using Chaggrins as a subtle warning. Not every summonable creature is a willing servant. Their appearance can signal deeper trouble, perhaps an unstable planar rift, or the growing influence of powerful Earth-aligned fiends. Chaggrins are rarely working alone. Did you know that the Grue's name has a literary origin? The word Grue was popularized by the text-adventure game Zork, where Grues haunted the darkness to devour lost players. While D&D's Grues are different, the homage is a fun fact, proof that fantasy and gaming history are deeply intertwined. Some sages theorize that chaggrins are not truly native to the elemental planes, but are the result of catastrophic fusion between unstable planar energies. This would explain their grotesque, misshapen bodies and unpredictable tempers. Perhaps chaggrins are what happens when elemental magics go terribly, terribly wrong. Chaggrins can also be a symbol of pollution or corruption within a natural setting. If the earth beneath a town is tainted by magical residue, or a dwarven hole delves too deep, a chaggrin infestation could be an ecological disaster with monstrous consequences. Despite their low intelligence, chaggrins remember slights and failures, and have been known to stalk those who defeated or imprisoned them. Their grudges can last for centuries, a fact that can make for an unexpected return of a defeated villain years down the road. In planar cosmology, Grues fill an important niche as wildcards. Unlike the relatively neutral elementals, chaggrins are agents of sabotage and entropy, seeding chaos wherever they go. On the battlefield, they excel at sowing confusion and picking off isolated targets. Adventurers seeking to banish a chaggrin should beware. These creatures are resistant to conventional weaponry and immune to many Earth-based spells. Only magic that disrupts or repels elemental forces will have a lasting effect. Simple brute force is rarely enough. For a truly memorable encounter, try combining a chaggrin with environmental hazards, a collapsing mine, a shifting maze of tunnels, or a slowly flooding underground chamber. The chaggrin's mastery over stone and earth makes it a living embodiment of the adventurer's worst subterranean nightmares. A rarely known fact, chaggrins can be temporarily pacified by certain rare minerals. Veins of pure adamantine or mithril can fascinate or distract a chaggrin for hours, giving clever players a non-combat option, or a means to avoid a deadly confrontation altogether. Occult texts refer to Grues as the curse of the summoner. When used as a spell mishap result, a chaggrin can teach players about the dangers of uncontrolled magic, adding a level of depth and consequence to attempts at planar contact or summoning rituals gone awry. Chaggrins, despite their hatefulness, sometimes serve as messengers or harbingers for greater earth elementals or even earth-aligned deities. An encounter with a chaggrin might foreshadow a larger conflict erupting deep beneath the surface, tying into long-term campaign arcs. If incorporated into your game's lore, chaggrins can hint at ancient, buried secrets, collapsed cities from fallen empires, hidden dragon hordes, or slumbering gods beneath the stone. They are the keepers of the deepest, darkest stories the Earth has to tell. And let's not forget their senses. Chaggrins see with tremor sense, detecting even the slightest movement through rock and soil. This makes stealth nearly impossible, forcing players to get creative. Silent magic, air travel, or clever distractions are key. Chaggrins have appeared in various editions of D&D, each with subtle mechanical changes. In 3rd edition, for example, they were described as having damage reduction and spell resistance, while in earlier versions, they appeared almost like earthbound demons. This evolution keeps the chaggrin fresh for different parties. The chaggrin's place within the monster manual is as both threat and intrigue. They rarely act without motive, often serving as agents of greater powers or as wild anomalies. A Chaggrin encounter is a doorway to mysteries, to danger, and to the wonders of the plains. In summary, the Chaggrin Grue is more than a simple monster. It's a chaotic agent from the world between worlds, a living nightmare of stone and spite. Use them wisely, whether as foes, omens, or the spark for a grand subterranean tale. Brave the depths, and remember, with the Grue, the Earth itself might just turn against you. Thank you for joining me on this journey into the depths of D&D lore. If you enjoyed this exploration, be sure to check out our other monster deep dives. And may your next encounter inspire equal parts dread and delight.